If you're looking to buy or sell a home in New Jersey, contact our Coldwell Banker office in Wayne at 973-694-8000 or call Tim direct at 973-865-0249. You can also visit his website at www.homesinwaynenj.com. Tim's promise to you and your family is to provide you with exceptional real estate service while always working to exceed your expectations. And remember, at Coldwell Banker, we never stop moving. Are you purchasing or refinancing a home? Do you need a free same-day pre-approval? Then call Dean Scaduto from Coldwell Banker Home Loans at 201-322-3456. That's 201-322-3456. The New Jersey Real Estate Show is brought to you by the law offices of Joseph C. Petriello, located in Wayne, New Jersey. To contact them, call 973-890-7262. That's 973-890-7262. Welcome to the New Jersey Real Estate Show. Now, here are your hosts, Tim Waller and Matt Josephs.
Hello, everyone. Tim Waller here, your host for the New Jersey Real Estate Show, along with my co-host, Matt Josephs, the
Tim.
voice of reason. Hey, Matt.
Oh, how are you doing?
And, of course, the ever-popular engineer, Peter Cornell, who makes this show all possible.
Thank you, Tim.
Hello,
it's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Now that we have all that stuff out of the way, we have a very, very intense and informative show lined up for you today. We're going to be discussing the property tax appeal process and how our listeners can potentially reduce their property tax assessment and hopefully start paying lower taxes.
So in today's hypothetical example, we'll be using Wildwood City, New Jersey, which is located in beautiful Cape May County. But please understand this whole property tax assessment appeal process is the same for the entire Garden State. Right before the break and before the end of the show, we will provide you with our email address so you can request and have sent to you the entire PowerPoint presentation of understanding how the tax appeals process works in New Jersey, which should be interesting.
Yeah, I think all the listeners should note that I hope each and every one of you have a degree in calculus too. Just kidding. Simple mathematics.
So Tim and I are going, or P and I are going to ask Tim questions, and he's going to answer them about the whole thing. Peter, you've got the first question.
Yeah, I just hear the term property assessment tax appeal, and I got it. How involved and difficult is it for the average homeowner to...
It's really not that difficult once you understand the mechanics and once you understand what the state of New Jersey or each municipality requires in order for you to successfully reduce your property tax assessment. So it's a matter of using the right comparable sales.
Okay.
And in tax appeals, the window of opportunity, for instance, after January, people who are going to be filing an appeal is going to be for 2017. However, the comparables that can be used are from October 1st, 2015 through October 1st, 2016. That's the window of comparable sales that a property owner has to use to justify why they may be paying too much in property taxes because of a high property tax assessment.
Okay, so in your opinion, do you believe the majority of homeowners in New Jersey are paying too much in property taxes?
Well, according to the National Taxpayers Union, they say probably anywhere between 30 to 60% of all property owners throughout the United States are paying too much or are being assessed too high for their property values. There's a Latin term, ad valorem, which means that your taxes should be based on your true value, what your true market value is. But we have to be realistic. Usually there's one tax assessor per municipality. They may have an assistant, so it's physically impossible for one tax assessor to know what everybody's market value is 100% of the time.
Okay.
So the state of New Jersey has set up what they call a director's ratio, which simply means that they give the municipalities the latitude of being 15% higher than 100% of assessed value or 15% lower. So for the tax appeal process, which we'll get into later because I'm going to have to go over some mathematical formulas on how you arrive to that. But for the tax appeal purpose, you have to fall below that tax ratio, that 15% tax ratio, before the assessor or county will approve your property tax appeal.
When you say fall below, you're saying your property value?
You're 100% of value. See, this is what people don't understand. Every municipality has an assessed value, and they have what's called an equalization ratio. The equalization ratio is a percentage of what your assessed value is. For instance, let's take Wildwood City. Mm-hmm. Okay, Wildwood City right now is, let me just find this. All right, Wildwood City, their equalization ratio right now is 99.85%, which means that if a homeowner had an assessed value of $648,500, you would divide that number by the equalization ratio of 99.85%, so the 100% or true value of that property would be $649,474. So that's the mathematical formula. That's how you determine what the actual 100% or true value is. You take the total assessed value, divide it by that municipality's equalization ratio, and that will equate to 100% or true value of the property.
Okay.
So in this case, you would take that 100% of assessed value, which is the $679,474. You'd multiply it times the director's ratio, which would equate to 85%. So now we would have to find comparable sales that sold below $577,552. And if you can do that, then you have a really good case on getting your property assessment lowered. In turn, will lower your property taxes.
Okay.
So there's different formulas. So if we take the example of a house in Wildwood City, the tax rate on the home, let's say, is currently $2.28 for every $100 of assessed value. And the equalization ratio in Wildwood City, as we just mentioned, is 99.85%. That means the total assessed value in this example is $648,500. We now have to determine the current annual property taxes for this property, and here's the easy formula to do that. You take the $648,500, you divide it by the $100 because the general tax rate is always figured out. You take the assessed value, divide it by 100. So in this case, it comes out to $6,485 times the general tax rate, which currently in Wildwood City is $2.28 per 100. So the taxes on that particular property are $14,831. Now, I know the audience is totally confused by now, and that's okay.
The audience. What about us?
You're going to be able to look at this on the power. Believe me, I tell you, it's very, very simple. Right now, it's sounding very, very complicated, but it is a very, very simple process.
You know what they should do is they should email you for the PowerPoint now if they haven't already. And when they get it, then listen to the show. As we're talking about, look at the PowerPoint.
Oh, we can do that, absolutely.
Yeah.
So our email address is THENJRES. That's THENJRES@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's the New Jersey Real Estate Show, if that helps you remember easier.
Just remember NJRES. So it's the THENJRES@gmail.com, and we will send you that PowerPoint presentation.
Yes.
Okay. So I, as a realtor, have really been involved in a lot of tax appeals over my 32 years of doing this, and I basically get the comparables for the homeowner. I fill out the application for them. I can't physically go there to the county, but it's like anything. When you're doing a tax appeal, you're like an attorney preparing for trial. You have to present your case to the jury that's ironclad. If you do that, there's a very good chance that the township or municipality will make you an offer. It's called a stipulation of judgment. It has to be approved by the county that you're in. And if they do that, you successfully reduced your property tax assessment, which is going to lower your property taxes without even going in front of the board. That's when you know you have an ironclad case.
Okay, so you get your property taxes lowered.
Correct. Well, your property tax assessment, that's what you're appealing.
Okay,
Yep.
the so it doesn't go up.
Correct.
Now, does that just apply to you because you went and did the work to get it, or is your whole neighborhood, all properties of comparable value?
No, it's based on an individual.
So,
homeowner.
so it's every individual property.
Correct.
That's
Every individual homeowner would have to file a tax appeal for their home.
Okay, gotcha.
It's not a complicated process once you know the formula and once you know what the municipality is looking for.
How about let's say you've lived in your house for, I don't know, like almost 30 years, right? You're retired. You just retired. You're on a fixed income. Or let's just say you're retired and you're on a fixed income. You own the house outright, and all you have to pay are the property taxes. But they go up, and now you can't afford it. Is there any remedy for you, or do you have to lose your house?
No, the only remedy is you go and try to file a tax appeal and get your property taxes reduced.
You say you don't get it. Say you don't get the appeal.
Then you may have to sell, unfortunately.
Okay.
Property taxes in New Jersey are not cheap.
Yeah. You're here for the taxes, not for the life and the living.
Well, I think if I ever retire, I'll move to Avalon, and I think their tax rate right now is 54 cents per hundred. So if you have if you own a home valued at $1.5 million, your taxes, I think you're paying less than $8,000, which is phenomenal.
Nothing to them.
Yeah, right.
Phenomenal.
So is there any cost associated when you file a property tax appeal?
Yes, there is. I believe the assessed value, you can do it as cheap as $25. If I believe your assessed value is below $250,000, then it goes up in increments, the higher your assessed value. So I think the most that an appeal would cost you, I believe, is $100.
And that's just the fee that you're to file it.
To file it.
Is there, so getting your service to help with that, is there any fee for that?
As a realtor, I don't charge that. But what I try to do is explain to the homeowner that, hey, if we can be successful and we can give you a little relief on your property taxes, when you go to sell it, you're going to make your home more saleable, because who's ever buying it, property taxes are going to reduce their mortgage payment.
Right.
Oh, so that's
why I do it.
That property tax has been reduced for the life of that house.
No, because every year taxes will go up.
But I mean the assessed value.
Correct.
The reassessed value.
The reassessed value.
Sticks.
Until the municipality does a reevaluation.
Right. But that's a huge selling point.
That's a huge selling point.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's interesting.
And I mean, there's examples of that. But in order to achieve a successful tax appeal, you have to find supporting comparable sales that closed, again, from that window, which in this case is going to be October 1st, 2015 through October 1st, 2016. Mm-hmm. And you also have to find comparable sales that were what's referred to as arm's length transactions.
Okay.
In other words, it was a ready, willing, and able buyer who purchased from a ready, willing, and able seller, both of which were not in a distressed situation.
Okay.
They were neither forced to buy nor forced to sell. You cannot use homes that were sold through short sales, through foreclosures, or distress sales, maybe a matrimonial case.
Now, how can you determine if the buyer or seller was distressed after the fact?
Well, the way you can tell is if it was a short sale or a bank-owned property. It's stated in the MLS, and also when they record the deed, you're going to see the grantor and the grantee. And if it was a bank-owned property, it's going to be a bank deeding it into the new owner.
Gotcha.
So they want them to be what's known as arm's length transactions.
So it's not a case of I needed to sell my house because my job transferred to California tomorrow, so I sold it below market value just to get out.
That's correct.
That would be an arm's length transaction.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. So in any event, in this hypothetical case that we're using in Wildwood City,
Right.
Let's say the seller was able to support a market value of that $522,000 during that time frame of October 1st, 15 through October 1st, 16. And it was compared to the current 100% assessed value of $649,474. The tax assessor and tax board would more than likely concur that that's the case. And using the reverse engineering technique, we would now take the new true value of 522,053, multiply that times the equalization ratio, which is 99.85, and that would equal the new assessed value of 521,3. So the new property tax assessment would now drop from 648.5 to 521.3, changing the property taxes from 14,831 to 11,922 annually. That's a savings to the homeowner of over $2,900 per year, or $242 per month.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
In today's day and age. So although that's great news for the seller, it's even better news if the seller was selling for the potential buyer, because his or her mortgage payment would be $242 less per month, or the equivalent of the borrower borrowing $52,000 less. It's a huge savings for both seller and buyer.
Right. Now, is a tax appeal hearing always necessary, or is there some other way to?
No, there are other ways, and depending on the municipality that you're in, some tax assessments are so grossly overcharged that it's almost negligent that the people are paying that kind of money. But it's incumbent upon every homeowner to make sure that the information the tax assessor has on record is accurate. And that's what's referred to as a property tax card. Every homeowner, the assessor holds a property tax card.
Okay.
Shows the square footage, the number of rooms, when it was built, when permits were taken out, if it has an in-ground pool, if it has air conditioning, if it has a finished basement, it has all that stuff. So let's say, Matt, you have a house, you have an in-ground pool, but on your property tax card, tax assessor's not showing that you have an in-ground pool.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so now you want to sell the house, they're going to check that, and now they're going to say, well, we got to correct this, and now they're going to start assessing you for having an in-ground pool, but they can't retroactively go after you.
Right.
Just like you as the taxpayer, if they had you down as an in-ground pool and you really didn't have one and you were paying taxes for the past 10 years on that pool, you can't go after them.
Okay. That's fair.
So that's why it's incumbent on every property owner to check with their local tax assessor, get a copy of their property tax card. It's theirs. It's public knowledge, to make sure that everything is accurate
And
on that card.
they shouldn't assume that it's up to date.
No, never assume.
Because this is government we're talking about.
That's correct.
Now,
Never assume.
Can it ever backfire where they will find something that would cause you to pay more?
It could backfire, sure. Let's say, I'll give you an example. You have a house, 5,000 square feet, 2,500 first floor, 2,500 second floor, and a 2,500 foot basement. However, when you bought it, that basement was unfinished. You decided to finish it. But you also decided not to tell the municipality that you were finishing it. So you just went ahead and put kitchen down there, a bathroom, and what have you, and the town doesn't know about it. Well, when you go to sell, that's going to come back to bite you.
Right. So you're worried about the pool or whatever, and you're dragging them down there to, reassess for that, and then it's like, oh, well, this isn't here.
Before a homeowner actually goes and files the paperwork for an appeal, they need to review that property card.
Okay.
That's first and foremost.
And just going to get that's not going to draw any attention.
Absolutely
to you.
not.
Okay.
It's public knowledge. It's yours.
I'm
You
gonna
just
go
go
do
down
that.
there and request that,
Yeah.
and that's what it is. But a lot of people aren't aware of that.
Right.
But you need to know that, because even, let's say, Peter, you bought your house 5 years ago. 10 years ago, that basement was finished, but that homeowner never took a permit out. And when you bought the house, the town didn't require a continued certificate of occupancy. But now They changed that, and effective immediately, they now require a continued certificate of occupancy. You and your wife are going to sell your house. Now that finished basement's on you.
It all falls on me. Right.
So if I recently purchased a home, would my purchase price be considered as a reason to reduce my property assessment?
If it was an arm's length transaction, that's a very, very good question. And the answer is basically depending on the municipality. I know the town that I'm in, they're pretty good that way. But it all depends case by case basis. But let's try to give you an example here. Let's say you bought a house for $500,000. That was the true market value at the time. You weren't forced to buy it. Seller wasn't forced to sell it. It was an arm's length transaction. But the town has you assessed at 100% at $650. Well, in that case, you're being overassessed.
Okay.
And the assessor knows that if I don't lower it now, when you come before me on an appeal, I'm going to have to lower it then. So it's kind of a judgment call that they use.
Okay.
As long as you breach that threshold, that 15% director ratio that the state allows.
So am I correct in saying that property taxes can go down if property values go down? Am I getting that right?
Well, let me say this to you, Matt.
Yes.
Back in 2007, we had the largest correction of real estate ever. I don't know one homeowner that got a knock on their door from their local tax assessor saying, the market took a beating. We're going to lower your property tax assessment.
Well, I don't mean, of course, they never do that. But I'm saying if property values go down and you're aware of it, you've got your thumb on the pulse of everything and you're aware of it, then you can go and get your taxes lowered, correct?
Your property tax assessment, correct.
Okay.
Yep, and that's what
But
you
you
do
have
the
to be
appeal
aware of it.
process.
They're not going to offer.
But you have to use, in a perfect world, you're going to try to find 5 comparable properties. You got to use the apples to apples approach.
Right.
You have a colonial, you got to try to find 5 colonials. If you have a bi-level, you got to try to find 5 bi-levels. You want to get...
And what size of a radius do you want to find these?
Well, you start off in your immediate neighborhood.
Okay.
And of course, like an appraiser will do, if there hadn't been any sales in that particular time frame, then you have to start branching out into other parts of the town. But you should be able to come up with at least 3 comparable sales.
Okay.
5 is optimal, but 3 would be sufficient.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to mislead the audience and the listeners, but as you are preparing your property tax assessment appeal, the assessor is also looking at data. So you have to be honest and look at all the data.
Right.
You can't be selective and say, oh, this works for me, that works for me. Oh, I don't think the assessor will use that one. The assessor will use that one. So you have to be honest throughout the whole process. And again, if you do your due diligence, more than likely the municipality is going to make you an offer without you having to go in front of the county tax board.
Okay.
So it's an lightning process, and you can save a ton of money, and it doesn't cost much. I mean, even if you spend the $25 to file the appeal has to be filed no later than April 1st. So in this case, it's going to be April 1st, 2017. And for $25, what do you have to lose?
Right. $25.
$25.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd take that any day of the week if I had an opportunity to lower my taxes by $2,000 a year.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So in any event, that pretty much sums it up. I mean, there's a lot that I didn't go over.
Right. Yeah, I'm
Well,
sure
I
it's
think-
more complicated than...
Because of the mathematical situations and formulas, I think the listeners has to see the PowerPoint presentation to
Right.
fully understand how that works and what the process is.
And where do they get that again, just in case they forgot to do it
They're
before?
going to email thenjrs@gmail.com. That's thenjrs@gmail.com. And we will get out to you right away PowerPoint presentation of the tax appeal process in New Jersey.
Yeah, I say definitely do it and listen to this show a couple of times, because who doesn't want to save money on property tax?
Right.
Well, we really didn't want to confuse you, but there's no other way when you're talking tax appeals. There's a
Yeah.
lot of math involved.
But if one
unfortunately.
town full of homeowners goes and gets reassessed and lowers their property taxes because of this show.
It affects the other.
We've done something good.
Yes, yes. But just so you know, when people appeal their property tax assessment and they are successful, the other people who didn't appeal
Hate them.
pay for it. Because the municipality works on a certain budget.
Sure.
They have to bring.
They have to get that money somehow.
So what happens is every year they raise the cost per 100 or lower it depending on the municipality's budget.
They're always going to get you in the end.
Usually.
Yeah. You're
Somehow.
really not going to win.
Usually.
But every point that goes up, you're paying less
Yeah.
on that point.
That's
because
correct.
Of
Right.
your assessed value, right?
You're always better
Small
off,
victories.
you're always better off to do it because in theory your property taxes are going to go up each and every year because municipal budgets have a
Right.
tendency of increasing
Right.
each year.
Now, you said that the municipality will reassess the value on a periodic basis.
When it gets to a certain point, they'll probably be mandated by the state saying it's time to do a reevaluation.
Is there any time frame for that?
No, not. There's really no way of telling when a town's gonna actually do that. But once they do that, they usually take you to where that equalization ratio is right at 100%.
And then they're gonna do it when they know that the values in their town are going up.
Now I'm really going to confuse you. How do they determine what that equalization ratio is? Well, what they do is in the prior year, they take all the sales, they add up those numbers. Then they take all the sales and add up the assessed values of those sales. And then they divide those numbers into one another.
So you can have an equalization ratio over 100,
That's correct.
and then that's when they'll
Not
reassess.
necessarily. It's one of, a lot of times we'll get below 50%.
Okay.
Is the look to do a reval, but
Oh yeah, if it's over 100, that's good
that's
for the
why
town.
the equalization ratio changes all the time, and
Right.
usually that's going to change October 1st.
Okay.
Usually changes, but every municipality is different.
Yeah.
So much, I mean, I bought a house. I don't know any of this stuff. It's
Well,
it's
now
kind of
you do.
scary that I don't, but But I pay,
Not many people do, but
I
there's
pay it every month. I don't know what I'm paying for.
There's companies.
should go get it
There's
reassessed.
companies out there. There's attorneys out there that I even get in the mail. Hey, I think you qualify for a property tax appeal. What happens is you hire those companies. They do everything, but if you do win and you get that stipulation of judgment,
You got to pay them.
and your assessment is lowered, and then in turn lowers your taxes, you're going to pay them a portion of your savings.
Right.
Whereas if you do it by yourself, you benefit the entire savings.
Right. So for $25 and a little bit of research, you could do it by yourself.
Yeah, what
and-
you do is you contact your local realtor and you say, look, can you help me with a property tax appeal? I need comparable sales.
Yeah.
And if that local realtor says I don't want to help you, you find another realtor.
Right.
You call Tim.
You call Tim.
Well, because
first,
what
right.
I do is I've helped a lot of families in that process, and without ever expecting anything in return. It's just the way that I am. But by doing that, it has created business for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
it's goodwill.
If somebody listens to this from Cape May County and says, I want to do this, they could call you and you can help them, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. You don't have to be down in Cape May County.
No, you could be anywhere in the state of New Jersey. Yep.
So-
And again, contact your local realtor, whatever municipality you're in. And again, I'm speaking specifically to residential.
Right.
Commercial's on a different level, so I'm not even going to go there. I'm just speaking to the residential residents. But I would. It doesn't cost you anything to contact your local
Right.
realtor and say, hey, can you evaluate my home and see if I have a shot at reducing my property tax assessment? That call's free. There's no charge for that.
And just to clarify, so municipalities, rates, equalization ratios, that can all be different. It is different.
It is different.
But
Yep.
the process is all the same.
The process pretty much throughout the state is
It's
all the same.
Okay.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
anyone in New Jersey can call.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, it's your property. If you can convince the town that, hey, I'm paying too much in my property tax assessment, all the more power to you.
Yeah.
You save money, and when you go to sell it, it makes it more attractive to the person who's
Yeah.
going to buy it.
That's the long-term value of it, that saleability.
Absolutely.
Do you ever market that as like for a specific property, it's property tax reduced?
I can go when I see people that maybe have been on the market They weren't successful selling, so they've expired. I'll call them up because I can tell by looking at their assessed value and knowing what the equalization ratio is in my town, I can tell if they got a good case for reducing their property taxes. So what I'll do is I'll call them and say, look, I'm not calling you to sell your home. I'm calling you to let you know that I think you're paying too much on your property tax assessment, and I think we got a good case to getting that reduced. So if you do decide to sell in the future, you're going to make your home more saleable.
Yeah, right.
Because it's going to be more affordable
Yeah.
to many more buyers.
That's a good
And
tactic.
again, it costs them nothing.
Right.
Right.
So that's another venue that I use to generate business. And it's for a good cause. You're helping people.
Sure.
Smart stuff.
Hey, every dollar
That's why
counts
you're the
in today's. Every day counts, or every dollar counts in this life.
Absolutely.
Well, so that in closing, I know we discussed a lot of information today in a very, very short period of time. And I want to thank both Matt and Peter for asking such good questions.
You're welcome.
And again, if you want a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, understanding how the tax appeal process works in New Jersey, please email us at thenjres@gmail.com. That's thenjres@gmail.com. And we will send you a copy. You can also download this episode and past episodes of the New Jersey Real Estate Show podcast by going to www.njrealestateshow.com. That's njrealestateshow.com. And thanks again for listening today. And make sure you tune in next week because we have a really, really, really interesting topic. How to purchase bank-owned properties, also known as REOs. Our in-studio guest will be Don Finelli, who's affiliated with Coldwell Banker. Believe me, folks, you don't want to miss this episode. Let's end today's show by giving our listeners some wisdom for the day.
Oh,
I'll ask Matt and Peter both this question.
all right.
What's the major difference between people who are productive and those who are non-productive?
I would say, Tim, that the productive people don't make excuses. Am I right?
You are correct.
Oh.
And the non-productive people,
They
Make excuses.
they can't stop using it.
Yeah.
I was very,
Sorry, I didn't get that. I wasn't thinking.
That was very good,
So
Matt.
just
I didn't
used-
answer because Matt was talking over me.
Well, in any event,
all these excuses.
Right.
thanks again for tuning in. And remember to be that leader who aspires to lead, then you can lead to inspire others. Life's a very short journey, folks. So enjoy the journey every minute of every day. Be safe, be positive, be productive, but most importantly, be who you are and not what others want you to be. Your existence in this world counts, so use it to the best you can be. Thank you. Have a great day.
Are you an expert in your field?
Do you want your voice to be heard?
Maybe you have a great idea for a show but don't know how to do it.
Well, we can make it happen.
Email the New Jersey Podcast Guys at njpodcastguys@gmail.com.